This is the November 24, 2014 meeting of the Revere City Council. All rise and salute the flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call of the members. Councilor Rigo?
Here.
Here. Councilor Janino?
Here.
Here. Councilor Guanasso?
Here.
Here. Councilor Hess? Here. Councilor Morabito?
Here.
Here. Councilor Novoselsky?
Here.
Here. Councilor Patch?
Here.
Here. Councilor Penta? Here. Councilor Powers?
No. Here.
Here. Councilor Reardon?
Yes, I mean here.
Here. And Council President Zambudo?
Here.
Here. Quorum is present. Approval of the journal of the meeting of November 17th, 2014.
All in favor, all opposed? So voted.
Calendar item number 1. Dr. Wheel and the Director of Inspectional Services, Nick Catanazzo, will appear before the City Council to conduct a short presentation on the City of Revere's preparedness and the handling of a potential Ebola outbreak.
Welcome, Mr. Director.
All right. Good evening. We're here tonight for the request for the City Council. With me, I brought a public health nurse. Carol Donovan is also in charge of the school nurses. And I also brought a very informative person, Dr. Eric Weil, who chairs our board for the Board of Health. Basically, the Board of Health, we've been updating we're more of an informational piece, the Board of Health, in this situation. As you know, the situation over the last 2-3 months has changed from day to day, week to week. All kinds of information. What was right one day isn't the same the next day. So we've been constantly updating our website, keeping people informed. It seems to have slowed down a little bit. I gave you in the packet there a lot of the latest information that we have from the Board of Health. So with that, I will pass it on to Dr. Weil. If you have any questions for him, he's much more of an authority than I am answering these questions, and thought it would be a great informational piece to bring Dr. Weil up here. Thank you.
Thank you, Nick. Before we bring Dr. Weil up here, I just want to mention that the chiefs were up here on this matter earlier, both
yes,
the chief of the fire department and the chief of police.
Yes.
And we discussed it and told them it was probably no need of them being here tonight because you have all the information.
Yeah.
And we have the expert with you. So
yes.
Just for everybody's edification, that's why the chief's on here
yes.
tonight. Okay, great.
Thank you.
Dr. Weil.
Well, now I know where the chiefs aren't here. That's good. I was looking around the room, kind of trying to figure out where they were. So my name is Eric Weil. It's a pleasure to see you all. I'm a general internist and a primary care physician at the Revere Health Center on Ocean Avenue, and I've been the chair of our Board of Health for the past 14 years. And I was asked to speak in front of you all with regards to the current concerns with regards to Ebola, as well as perhaps some comments on how our own community is responding to that. And I think that a few points are very important to highlight, and I hope that most of these points are taken as points of reassurance. And point number one is that the number of cases of confirmed or unconfirmed Ebola in Massachusetts have been 0. There have been 4 people tested, all of whom have been negative. The number of cases of Ebola in the United States have either been from people who were directly in one of the countries, which include Liberia, Sierra Leone, Mali, and Guinea. They were either there or they were treaters in one of the healthcare facilities here in the United States, none of which were in the northeastern part of the country. The risks of transmission, as you may or may not know, are relatively low. The risk requires direct physical contact with a person who has Ebola or who has recently died from Ebola. It's either direct contact with the person or with their bodily fluids. The reason that there's been a lot of transmission in Western Africa is by and large because of healthcare providers and because of burial rituals. it is strongly felt that here the risk of actual contraction of the disease, if you are non-febrile, you don't have a fever, and you haven't been exposed in any way, is essentially zero, especially if you're maintaining a safe distance from individuals. So the biggest thing that we're doing in our healthcare facilities, and quite frankly in the schools, is communication and awareness. And the big issue is to make sure that we know of individuals who have come from any of the at-risk countries and have been exposed to individuals who have been diagnosed with Ebola. And if you were to walk into the health center in Revere, you'll see signs on the wall which basically say, travel alert. If you've been to any of these countries within the past 21 days, please inform our staff immediately. And then the first step in those particular triage situations are that the individual is questioned as to whether or not they've had a fever. Similar protocols are actually in place in the schools right now. And as it stands at the moment, there's probably not much more to do about that, especially given the fact that there's relatively extensive screening that's going on at the airports at the location of actual immigration. With regards to the healthcare institutions in our communities, and I'm speaking specifically for Mass General, but I would say that the Hallmark system in Whidden probably has very similar infrastructure in place. There is a very robust readiness protocol that has been developed. It includes representatives from the emergency department and from disaster preparedness, as well as from infection control and infectious disease. And all of this work is being done in coordination with the Massachusetts Department of Public Health. In my packets here, and in the information that's submitted to you, there are the phone numbers and the appropriate contacts for the individuals within the infectious disease across the state. And those are the people who would actually need to be contacted if there was ever any concern for a patient, an individual at risk. And the message that I hope that the police department and the fire department communicated to you is that they're prepared, but there's also an understanding that if somebody were to call and say that they thought they had a fever and that they were from one of these particular places, is that people aren't going to be running into their home to be supporting them, but their first step is going to be to contact the people here in this list. And that is very counterintuitive from what we normally do, because our instinct as first responders and healthcare providers is to get in there and help. But in this particular situation, we actually need to do the opposite, because we need to be ensuring the safety of the rest of the community. So they would reach out and make a contact with the appropriate people, and then the cascade of events that are necessary after that would occur. So that's a general summary. I'd be happy to entertain any other questions that you have now or later.
Thank you, Doctor. I'm going to call on Councilor Patch, whose motion it was.
Thank you, Mr. President. Actually, you answered the Chief's Chief Doherty answered a lot of the questions that I was concerned about, as far as first responders and the kid, putting them in danger and what have you. But and I'm glad that you just mentioned that they have a procedure. They did not mention that they contact before. And we found out that they're in the process of getting equipment for the police and the fire that already have the equipment. But first of all, I want to thank you for coming. And basically, that's it. It's good to see that it's quieted down a lot, because when I put the motion in, there was a lot of concern, because as the capable superintendent said that at the beginning information was changing daily. And unfortunately, healthcare providers caught it, and I didn't want to see any police or firemen in danger, along with the EMTs. But
I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
If I can make one really important point, that on a yearly basis, between 4,000 and 40,000 people die in the United States, American citizens, from the flu. And so if we're going to do something in our communities that are going to save lives right now, it's getting all of our children and all of our elderly adults in particular, and everybody in between if possible, vaccinated, because that will make a bigger difference right now than almost anything else.
I agree with you.
That's my pitch, and it's not for CBS.
Okay. Well, basically, let's. I just want to thank you for showing up tonight, and I just wanted to put the citizens of Revere and some of the calls I got from police officers and firemen that when all this commotion at the beginning, it was that we had a handle on it, and it looks like we certainly do. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Council Pash. Council Penta.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I want to thank Dr. Weiler for being here. I know how busy he is because I keep him pretty busy. The last few years he kept me alive. Trust me, I don't have to add to his credibility, but I was just at my cardiologist Friday, and he said, he didn't bring it up, he just says, you have the best primary care doctor that I have dealt with. And that's saying something. We have you as head of our health department, and the citizens of Revere don't know how lucky they are. I want to thank you.
Thank you. I paid the cardiologist to say that. But, thanks very much.
Well, I want to thank you, Dr. Weil, for the information and also for the flu vaccination pitch. That was good. So let's all heed that and get a flu vaccine. Okay, Madam Clerk.
Calendar item number 2, hearing called is ordered on the application of Clear Channel Outdoor, 89 Maple Street, Stoneham, Mass., seeking permission from the Revere City Council to convert a non-conforming two-sided standing sign 14 feet by 48 feet into a two-sided digital standing sign at 300 Lee Burbank Highway.
We may have to postpone this for a few minutes. I don't see them here. Let's move on to the next.
Calendar item number 3, hearing called as ordered on the application of Regina Oliveri, 107 Pearl Avenue, Revere, Mass., seeking permission from the Revere City Council to modify a non-conforming structure by converting a 3-unit dwelling into a 4-unit dwelling on lot 115 at 107 Pearl Avenue.
Proponents, name and address for the record, please.
Good evening, Laureen Scatino representing Ms. Oliveri to my right at 107 Pearl Avenue. She's here today seeking to change the occupancy from a 3 to a 4 family. This proposal will not change the existing structure, nor does it involve any work. She's strictly seeking to legalize a unit from when she purchased the building.
Thank you. Any other proponents? People in favor of this proposal? Would you like to speak, Ms. Regina? Not necessary.
No, I'm okay.
Okay. Any other proponents? Hearing and seeing none, we'll close that side of the hearing. Any opponents? People opposed to this proposal? Hearing and seeing none, I'll close that side of the hearing. Councilor Penta.
Thank you, Mr. President. Before I do ask a question, is this going to go to committee?
Absolutely going to zoning.
Okay, thank you. The biggest question I have, and few people ask me, and everybody knows in Beachmont, is a parking issue. I mean, how many parking spaces do you have for this dwelling?
There's parking on in the back side of this property, and there's enough for 3 to possibly 4 spaces, yes.
But I'm saying it's 4 units. It's usually requires 8 parking spaces. That's going to be the issue, and it's going to be an issue with some of the neighbors. I don't know how you're going to address that, but like I said, I mean, I look into it a little more before the next committee meeting and bring some issues up then if I have any. Thank you, Mr.
Obviously,
President.
we can discuss that in the zoning subcommittee.
I do have plans here, if anybody would.
Any other councilors? Councilor Powers.
Thank you, Mr. President. The existing units that are there right now, all 4, there's 4 units there right now. How large are they?
How large is each unit? I have the architect with us as well.
I believe they're about 800 to about 1,000 square feet approximately.
I guess what I'm asking is how many bedrooms in each unit?
There's 2 bedrooms in each unit with the exception of the basement, which has the illegal unit, which has the 1-bedroom unit.
So one of these units is in the basement.
It's a fully exposed basement, as you'll see from the front elevation. It's right at grade. full height and all that stuff.
Is one bedroom,
Correct,
and the other three have two bedrooms.
correct.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Council Powers. Any other councilors? Zoning. Thank you.
Calendar item number 4, hearing called is ordered on the application of MD Mijanwar Raham, DBA Wonderland Convenience Store, 1247 North Shore Road, Revere, Mass., requesting permission to install an awning at said location.
Name and address for the record, please.
Yes. My name is MD Mijan Rahman, and I'm seeking a sign of Wonderland Convenience Store, 1247 North Shore Road. And I have my people who are going to make the sign. If you have any question, you can ask them. Please.
Okay, we have, this is in the packet. Okay. This is a public hearing, correct? Yes. Okay. Any other proponents? People in favor? Hearing and seeing none, we're going to close that side of the hearing. Any opponents? People opposed? Hearing and seeing none, we'll close that side of the hearing. Councilors, Council Powers.
Thank you, Mr. President. That is in my ward. This is the old marble place, I believe? Okay. Are you aware that that's going to become a one-way street very soon, coming in there? Off of the, yeah, okay. And what do you plan on selling there other than, milk and bread and things like that?
This convenience item like 7-Eleven across the street. I have another store like 307 Revere Street. It's mostly all convenience items.
Is there any alcohol going to be sold there?
Yes, I came here last week for licensing thing, and I want to have beer and wine package beer thing.
Yeah. Are you aware there's a playground probably 250 feet from that location?
I was a quiet neighborhood, and I think my business experience will help out the neighborhood. What I can say, I'm not going to do anything that makes the neighborhood upset.
Well, I own a house right on Neponset Street, and I could tell you right now, I'm not happy with a beer and wine license going into a neighborhood like that. So I'll save my comments for committee, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. President. I'll save my comments.
This is something that could be voted on tonight, Councilor. This is not a special permit. Councilor Haas.
Thank you, Mr. President. You're aware there's the full liquor license across the street from where you're planning to have this?
Yes.
On the other side of North Shore Road?
Yes.
All right. Again, as the council indicated, there's a playground within a couple hundred feet of this facility. And the road will be one way, very short period of time. So the only way you can get in and out of the facility will be from the curb cut on North Shore Road, correct?
They have one curb cut already there, and that's pretty, it's not a small, but it's way of the building.
Right.
So it's going to affect my business. But when I signed the lease and I did all this work, I went to the plan review board. After that, I heard they're going to be only one way. Yeah. And then I stuck with all this lease and the money I spent. So I have to try. That's what I can say. And I think it's going to make. That's what my belief.
Now, again, you got the permit last week, the license last week?
Yes.
I didn't think they were giving out more licenses. In neighborhood issues, I can't understand it. I'll save my comments to the.
Well,
if
again,
it goes to committee.
We're here discussing only the awning tonight, not the liquor license.
I understand that, right.
So, if it's the will of the council, this awning can be voted on tonight. There's no need of this going to subcommittee. It's not a special permit. I don't know what we can do about the License Commission already issued a beer and wine license to this facility, so that's kind of a moot point at this point. We either approve this awning or we don't. It aesthetically looks fine to me. Councilor Reardon, I'm sorry, I didn't see.
That's quite all right, Council President. I agree with you. We have approved these awnings on businesses, small businesses, time after time here. While I certainly sympathize with some of the concerns about the License Commission attitude about this, it's neither here nor there as far as we're concerned. And I would move the question at this point on the awning design. It doesn't look like it's particularly intrusive. And again, anybody who wants to operate a business, that business has been vacant for some time now. Anybody who wants to offer anything for sale in this community needs signage on their building, and I think it's otherwise an appropriate use for the building. And I'd ask the City Council to approve it, the awning portion of the issue at this point.
It's a motion to approve the awning. Did you
Mr.
want
President,
to add to that, Councilor Powers?
Mr. President, I'd just like to add a restriction to that awning, that there be no entrance with regard to beer or wine on that awning being sold at the premises.
Okay. No, because that picture
All
was
right,
taken
fine.
when actually he's supposed to bring a new picture, and I think he didn't bring any. He doesn't say anything. And my business vision is doing the convenience item more than any beer or wine. And why my idea was beer and wine is close to street, in the whole neighborhood, like 200 houses there.
You should.
And that's.
All right, let me stop you for a second, sir. Let me just add, there's a proposal on the floor here to restrict you from putting beer or wine on that awning. Can you live with that?
Yes, sure.
Okay, and then we're good. Then we're good to go here.
Yeah,
Then.
thank you so
Okay,
much.
so that's that's to amend Councilor Reardon's motion to approve that there be no beer or wine on the awning. Madam Clerk.
Shall the City Council approve the installation of an awning at 1247 North Shore Road, subject to the condition that beer and wine shall not be advertised on the awning?
Yes.
Councilor Arrigo.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Genino.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Guanasso.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Haas. Yes. Councilor Morabito.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Novoselsky.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Patch.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Penta.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Powers.
No.
No. Councilor Reardon.
Yes.
Yes. And Council President Zambudo.
Yes.
Yes, the awning permit has been granted, subject to the conditions set forth by Councilor Powers. Back to calendar item number 2, hearing called is ordered on the application of Clear Channel Outdoor, seeking permission from the Revere City Council to convert a non-conforming two-sided standing sign into a two-sided digital standing sign at 300 Lee Burbank Highway.
Good evening. Name and address for the record, please.
Good evening. John Pellrine, Vice President of Clear Channel, 89 Maple Street, Stoneham, Massachusetts. Good evening. We're here.
This is a public hearing, so we're going to have proponents and the other proponents, so please tell us what to do.
Could I
what you want to
briefly
do.
just pass out some booklets real quick?
The clerk will take care of that for you. Thank you.
Yes. So we have a existing 14 by 48 sign at 300 Lee Burbank Highway. We'd like to replace that with a brand new 14 by 48 back-to-back digital billboard. We also have 4 posters in the downtown areas of Revere. They're on the second You go past the first two pages. The next page has the 4 existing posters. So our proposal would be to remove those 4 posters downtown, turn in the state permits, and then as far as seeking support and approval for a back-to-back digital, our current offer is $12,500 per face for a total of $25,000 a year annually, as well as 10 hours a month of public service time. And as far as the public service time is concerned, I gave you some examples on the proposed digital billboard. This past summer, we were asked to do a billboard for the city of Revere, and also we did a billboard for the tornado relief. Those are just some examples of how the city can utilize the board for public service messages if we get your support tonight.
Okay.
Answer any additional
Is that,
questions.
well, we'll get to that after we go through the public hearing.
Sure.
Are there any other proponents, people in favor of this proposal? Hearing and seeing none, we'll close that side of the hearing. Any opponents, people opposed to this proposal? Good evening. Name and address for the record, please.
My name is Ron Champeau, and I'm a member of the Revere Beautification Committee, and along with myself, there are several other members of the Revere Beautification Committee present. This is Dr. Bibi Wunderlich. We have Betty Conti, Eleanor Vieira, and Annette Bornstein. Some of our other members were not available to meet this evening. Okay, I will speak for the group. I'll try to make it brief. First of all, I want to thank you, Council President and councilors, for the opportunity to be present again to address this issue. To note, this is the 3rd time we have appeared in front of the City Council to express the Revere Beautification Committee's opposition to this proposal. When we last spoke on this matter, almost approximately a year and a half ago, we presented the research and knowledge we had acquired at that time concerning how the Commonwealth and other cities made billboard financial agreements that not only dwarfed the financial remuneration, of this Clear Channel proposal, but also addressed, according to the Mayor of Medford, the removal of some billboards in his community. After that meeting, we were hopeful that the City Council would develop a new billboard ordinance to address the varied billboard issues in our city. Unfortunately, that has not happened, and we understand why, due to the city's focus on the casino issue. It's understandable. But now, we believe the city needs to begin discussion on and develop a new billboard ordinance for the city of Revere. Fortunately, we have spent a considerable amount of time in further research from that moment, from that time, a year and a half ago. We've reviewed a great number of the city and towns in Massachusetts ordinances that address billboards and the billboard issue. What we have found is extremely enlightening, and we would be more than willing to share with each and every member of the City Council the knowledge that we've acquired. After reviewing these many billboard ordinances, we believe any new billboard ordinance for Revere should address at minimum, this is our opinion, the placement of a cap on the number of billboards allowed in the city of Revere, not only a cap on the standard billboards, but also a cap on the number of the digital billboards. Also, we'd be more than willing to discuss the institution of a continuous yearly revenue stream from the billboard companies' owners in the city, and would also like to address the request for change from existing billboards, as this is, to digital billboards by mandating the removal of standard billboards in our city for the granting of such request. Again, the removal, not $12,500 for each face. Not only that, a substantial more money, but also the removal of standard billboards in the city. Now again, this is our thoughts.
I know, I hate to interrupt you, But perhaps you didn't hear the part of the proposal that removes 4 billboards from the downtown area. Now you can go right on.
No,
I just, because that was part of his proposal. I just wanted you to make that clear.
But we're interested in the development of...
I understand what you're interested in, and I'm going to ask you to bring most of this to the zoning subcommittee.
We will.
But continue. I just wanted to get that point in, because there are 4 billboards that are the most egregious in the city that are coming down with this proposal. You understand it?
Totally.
Good. Okay.
We've talked about this in the past. But there again, I believe we need a billboard ordinance to address so that we don't have to come up here every 6 months or every 9 months or every year and a half. To finish, these are but some of the thoughts we believe should be in the new billboard ordinance. We, as stated, are more than willing to share the results of our research and look forward to a new comprehensive billboard ordinance in the city of Revere in the near future. That's what we're seeking. We have some knowledge, we've done the research, we desire, and I think the city deserves a new billboard ordinance.
Thank you for your input, Ron, and I hope you will come to the zoning subcommittee to offer that information that you have. Before we go on with other opponents, if there are any, I neglected to have the clerk read into the record a communication from our economic development director, who was ill tonight and couldn't be here, but wanted to come and speak in favor of this proposal. Excuse me? I think I have it on my email. Modern technology. Bear with us. Somehow we left the written communication out. You have it? We knew someone would. Thanks, Ira.
Dear President and members of the Revere City Council, I would just like to be put on record that the Economic Development Department is in favor of Clear Channel's proposal for upgrades of their billboards. Mr. Pellrine met with me on numerous occasions, and with their upgrades and the elimination of some billboards, I can only feel very positive about the agreements between Clear Channel and the City of Revere, for this will eliminate some pre-existing, non-conforming billboards within the City of Revere. Sincerely, John Festa, Director of Economic Development for the City of Revere.
Okay, now that that's out of the way, any other opponents, people opposed? I'm assuming the whole beautification committee is opposed, so we're just going to note that and name and address for the record, please.
My name is Elizabeth Conti, and I'm from 350 Revere Beach Boulevard. Thank you. I just want to emphasize that especially digital billboards are extremely distractive to the driver. So we'll only add to the whole mess of texting, telephoning, and now digital billboards. So I want that added as long. But I still would like those 4 removed. But thank you.
Thank you for your input. Councilor Reardon, since I saw you first and you are the zoning chairman.
Thank you. And as you know, I typically don't comment on things coming before the subcommittee, but I would like to support Ron Champeau's suggestion that we did discuss this. And he and I had some discussions on it, and I had some discussions with Frank Stringy about, and others about creating an ordinance, because we really don't have an ordinance governing billboards, believe it or not. We have several examples, fortunately, from our cities and towns, and Ron and I went through them, and Ron even drafted up a proposal, but things got distracting, as everybody knows, last year, as he agrees, and where this wasn't in the forefront because Mr. Perrine had not brought back this issue until now, we really didn't address it. I have to confess that I kind of dropped the ball a little bit on it myself. But it is in its nascence, and it has been proposed that the city, with the city, those in the city who administer these things, such as Department of Planning and Community Development, sit down and put together the best of the ordinances that are out there, and something that will will meet our needs. I will say that one of the things that we had discussed was a turn-in of existing billboards in the city with the thought, as Ron has suggested, to reduce this. First of all, establish a cap, then put it lower than what is now in existence, considerably lower. As Councilor Hass is well aware, there's an amazing number of billboards in this city, and we'd really like to reduce them overall. And that was one of our goals. The other goal, of course, was that the city get remunerated, such as other cities and towns have been remunerated for these billboards that we don't seem to be getting anything from. So it's more than just one issue that's coming before them. But I have to congratulate Clear Channel for accepting that challenge and coming up with, I think, with what Ron and I, more than actually what Ron and I had potentially discussed as a quid pro quo for existing billboards. So I think we have something to work with here, but I really do agree with Ron that before we go forward on this or any, and there's no reason we can't address it aggressively at this point either, that we really have an ordinance in place. And we certainly would welcome the proponents' comment on that as well, because as I said before at the zoning subcommittee meeting, we're interested in cooperation around here and something that works for everybody. And but this is an excellent proposal from the point of view of eliminating some really unsightly billboards in the city. Now, there are some objections to electronic. I don't particularly have any particular complaints about electronics, but it's something we have to talk about. And what is worth giving up to get back, I guess, is the issue. And everybody has to give a little to get a little. So I'm looking forward to entertaining this issue before the zoning subcommittee, and also involving Frank Stringy and John Festa with coming up with an ordinance that makes sense for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Reardon. Councilor Hass.
Thank you, Mr. President. Without question, we need a new ordinance. But if you remember correctly, the billboard up at the 4 Points, that was litigated, and we're waiting to get the response from the court system on that. So nothing could be changed where it was in litigation. So we will be addressing the issue without question. But again, here's what I've been trying to do as mayor. The city council's trying to do, reduce the number of billboards in our city. Anytime you can have a vendor come in and reduce it by 4 and give the city of Revere $750,000 over a 30-year span, I think that makes sense. Now, to look at the electrifying of the billboard, that's another issue, okay? And I think in zoning committee, we'll address it. But again, this is the right step forward, without question. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Hass. Councilor Penter, it's his ward, and I neglected to call him first. I apologize.
That's all right. Oh, excuse me, Mr. President. Mr. President, I have no problem with an ordinance across the city on billboards. You know, it's a zoning issue. It's a lot of things that it entails. And Councilor Hass is right about lawsuit going on. You couldn't implement one now anyway until that's over. But that being said, this to me comes down to being a no-brainer. You know, billboards, they should be taken on its own merits singly. This is on Lee Burbank Highway. If there was any way you were going to put it, you'd put it on Lee Burbank Highway. Go to the airport, that's where, you know, most of them are. We're taking down some unsightly ones. You're never going to get any taken down unless you have some sort of a proposal like this coming forward. This, to me, is a no-brainer. And as far as the digitals, you know, I know people think they look a lot better, so that could be debated any which way. But I know that the ones that are out there now are unsightly. The one on Broadway, I mean, the mayor's putting a lot of effort and money into beautifying Broadway. You're taking one down, probably the ugliest one in the city next to Central Fire Station. So to me, you're putting one in an area, if you had to put one at all in the city, that's where you would put it. But there's an existing one there. It's only going from, so you're not adding any, and you're taking them down. To me, this is clearly, and nothing about Clear Channel, but clear no-brainer. I mean, it just makes all kinds of sense. But as far as having an ordinance and putting what you want in there, I'm all for that too. I mean, I have no problem with that. But when you see something in front of you that just makes common sense, I can't see why you'd be against it. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Penta. Councilor Novoselsky.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, you know, there's two sides to every story. And I agree with the members of the Beautification Committee that we should be working on a citywide ordinance, even though we do have something in play, but it's not deliberate. I believe that several years ago we passed an ordinance that if there was a decrepit billboard now, that Clear Channel would have 60 days to fix it, or any other owner would have to, which I happen to have a complaint for Clear Channel regarding one of those billboards on North Shore Road, which is totally falling apart, and I would hope that they clean it up. We can talk offline on that, if you will. But just so people understand, I like the digital billboards. I've seen them on Route 93 and, coming through Medford. I think they're a lot cleaner, they're a lot neater. Do they distract people? Once you buy it, you don't worry about it, and people don't stare at them all the time, and, I can understand what you're talking about. But I think they're better than paper. I know it's a lot less work for Clear Channel to put up the paper signs and the plastic signs, whatever they use. But there is also state rules that they have to go by already, that they have the State Sign Commission, that they have to get permission for. I believe it's for these billboard signs are 500 feet apart, no less than 500 feet apart. The other signs are only 300 feet apart. But the city does get some kind of remuneration now because these signs are taxed as a personal property. And I believe the Clear Channel pays for those taxes in the contract that they have for the owners of the property. So we do get something. I believe we have something like 115 total billboards in the city of Revere right now. And having seen them take down 4 of them is a big, big plus. And those locations, I think, are the greatest thing to do to take them down. It's a start. We can work on it. We can work on the max. I don't know if we have to go through legislation on it to set a maximum like we did with the used Class 2 licenses or not. I don't know. We'll have to review that. But I want to thank Clear Channel for the special signage they put up for the tornado relief. That's the type of thing that we look for, and we appreciate that. So that's my play on just in general, Mr. President, at this point, and I don't mind saying it. When this comes up, I plan on voting for it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Novoselsky. Councilor Guanasso.
I think in their proposal, the most important part of the proposal is we will remove 4 existing posters along the downtown area of the city. That's a major impact for our community, and it's one that we would get only through negotiation. And if these people weren't coming forward with a new proposal, we would be living with these 4 sites forever. So this is a great opportunity. But Ron Chapeau makes an interesting comment when he states that we should look at the agreement fee. I'd be interested in subcommittee if you would appear, Mr. Chapeau, and review what the fee is that they're getting in these other cities and towns. Clear Channel seems to be making a great presentation to us, and I agree with everything they're asking. But if there are other cities and towns doing better, why not Revere? I think Revere is entitled to at least hear what the other cities and towns are getting. And I credit you, Ron, for coming forward with that information. But again, the proposal and the thoughts of a digital billboard, I'm all for it, really. I really believe the aesthetic value of a digital outdoor billboard is more pleasing than these old-fashioned sites that you see all throughout our community and other cities and towns. So I'm looking forward to being reviewed in subcommittee, Mr. President, and I look forward to the City of Revere getting their fair share in this proposal. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Guanasso. Councilor Patch.
Thank you, Mr. President. First of all, I agree with Councilor Guanasso that the cities with grant money and whatever is going to be spending millions of dollars and redeveloping Broadway, and we'll never have another opportunity to get rid of these billboards that are on Broadway. I also want to point out that as far as digital, I personally like digital. I think it's neater, cleaner, and I had a couple of incidents in the past where the current Clear Channel that owned one up in North Revere, that I had a problem with the covering that became loose, was flapping, and I had to call them, and they responded very quickly to come down and rip that off and put up a new face. I just think that in the future, if we can get something worked out that can bring in money like this agreement does, if we can ever get that in an ordinance, that would be great. But I think we got to just focus on this project right now, and I think that they've proved to be very cooperative, and when I've had a call, and again, if it was digital, you have the possibility of, like the cases that I had to call them for, or something that is very neat. And I don't know if we're going to have is the city going to get any space on that? A question? You know what? Okay.
Want to answer that?
The proposal is 10 hours a month, so it's 5 hours a month per face, and that's the layouts, the advertising, the artwork. We take care of everything, and so that's on a monthly basis. It could be for the parade, it could be for a road race, could be farmers market, could be Little League tryouts this weekend. It's for anything that you think is necessary. You just email us, and 10 minutes later you're...
On a beautification committee.
Right, right. And if I can I just address one thing that
Go ahead.
we seem to be talking about? The state took the time and did a crash study data, which was kind of unprecedented for Massachusetts. It was 14 months long. State police, OAB, 100% geared towards safety. They came back and said digital was neutral, and a couple of key things: no flashing, no scrolling, no animation, no moving parts whatsoever. So the state DOT did a very thorough process before they approved digital statewide with local support and approval. Thank you.
Very good. Okay, that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
President. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Patch. Councilor Morabito.
Thank you, Mr. President. I was going to hold my comments till subcommittee. I still have a lot more questions that I'll hold off on, but when I heard Councilor Reardon speak about a billboard ordinance, that's something I would like to look into and work with him on as well, and the beautification committee. And Councilor Guinasso mentioned taking a look at the agreement fees. That's also another thing I would like to take a look at. I like the idea of this a specific aspect of this proposal where 4 signs are coming down. I guess my question is, they're going to be back-to-back 14 by 48 billboards signs. You mentioned they can't be moving parts or flashing, so does that mean there will only be one advertisement on each side, or would there be a carousel of advertisements?
Great question. It's a 14 by 48, so on the first 2 pages, it's just an ad, like so.
Okay.
And they'll be up for 10 seconds, and then it goes dark, and a new ad goes up. So there's no moving, there's no animation. Each ad is 10 seconds, including ads for the city of Revere, Mass DOT. We do no texting, no seatbelts. We have to give 15 hours back to Mass DOT as well as the hours for the city. So it's 10 seconds, and then wait to another ad, 10 seconds, but there's no moving or animation whatsoever.
Okay. Also, you're going to give, Revere will get 10 hours of service hours, public service hours?
Correct. Monthly.
Now, is that required by law to give us service hours?
That is just something we give you. Now, to get my state approval, Mass DOT, that's the state, I've got to give them 15 hours. That's Mass DOT's law. That's at the state level. But every community that we currently have digital in, we give 5 hours at a phase 2. Malden recently at Cappy's, Peabody up on 95, Mayor Betancourt, Mayor Christensen. So we match that 5 hours. It's equal, so that every community can say that we gave them equal amount of time.
what I would like to see change in this proposal, and I know it's a little bit of a contradiction with the Beautification Committee and they're trying to enhance the beauty of our city, but I would like to have these 10 hours of public service hours. In addition, I would like to see each nonprofit who works so hard within our city get free advertisement on one of those 10 seconds of digital advertisement, basically.
You mean as part of your time with the city?
No.
Up and beyond.
Up and beyond.
Okay.
It's 10 seconds, right? Boom, they flash. 10 seconds each advertiser.
Each ad's 10 seconds, but we're giving you back time.
Yeah.
We're giving you time.
So I was wondering, with that aside, if you could add in our nonprofit groups, that this way they can get their own advertisement in there free of charge.
Okay, we would consider that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Council Morabito. Council Powers.
Thank you, Mr. President. Let me say from the outset, I certainly think a billboard ordinance is something that should happen in the city, and it should happen sooner rather than later. This city has been plagued by billboards, the smaller type, I believe, were like 36 or 28 sheet boards, the smaller ones. Can you come up to the podium, please? Yeah. I have some knowledge of the billboard industry going back to John Donnelly. Okay?
Yes, well, I started with Ackley, and then it's Clear Channel, but all the boards are 12/6, 36, which is the small poster, the
Exactly.
paper size. And the other standard size is 14 by
And
48.
the larger ones are considered what, display boards?
They're considered bulletins. We
Okay.
call that a 14 by 48 bulletin, you're correct.
The thing that, and I think to remove 4 billboards is great, 4 faces, that's a great thing. But what really troubles me is down at the corner of Revere Street and Broadway, you're taking 2 boards down. And the one to me that is probably the biggest distraction, anybody coming down that hill or coming up into that intersection, is the one on the roof. And I would just throw out there as a caveat that perhaps that should be included. I mean, we're looking to beautify Broadway. There's no question about it. We're looking to change the signage down there, the new lighting going in, et cetera, et cetera. And to remove two faces down there is fine, okay? But I think the one on top, that's something that I would like to see included, because to me, that's a big distraction for motorists coming up Broadway or down Broadway, traveling north or south. So I would, before this does come up for a vote of the City Council, I would hope you would take that consideration into mind. Okay? Thank you very much.
Councilor Rigo.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is an interesting proposal. The fact that we're looking at 4, or as Council Powers might want, 5 billboards being taken down is really a plus in this instance. I do want to remind my colleagues that we have kind of already set up a benchmark in terms of the amount of money and the type of agreements that we're going to approve, because we've already been through this once already. I think Clear Channel is obviously willing to work with us, given that they're looking to take down 4 billboards, and I do appreciate that. And I do want to. I hope that we look at the amount of money that other communities are getting, because I know that there are communities that are getting substantially more money for digital billboards, and maybe that's something that can be addressed future in an ordinance. I don't know if we can go back on some of the agreements that we've already made, which is unfortunate. But the other thing that I would like to see is potentially, and this could be in the ordinance, but the earmarking of whatever money that gets taken in as payment towards the city, that it be set aside in a separate fund, and we use that fund either through with Revere beautification or youth programs. I mean, $25,000 doesn't seem like a lot of money on its face, but if there are a couple of billboards that are paying into that fund, it could be substantial to the city. I did have one question. In terms of the 10 hours a month that would be donated, is there a monetary value to that, a rough monetary value?
We don't put a dollar value on that, but again, the artwork, the emails, anything you want is considered free. So we don't really put a monetary value on that because we set aside that time for the city. And as far as the payment is concerned, may I say that we normally enter into a development agreement and we put the money in a general fund and then we let you folks decide where that should go in the city.
Right. And so in terms of the billboards that you've, I assume, donated before to the city, have you donated the billboards for the Tornado Relief Fund and for the city, Revere on the Rise, are those donated to the city?
That was 100% free, yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. And what is the monetary value of those?
They range anywhere between $5,000 to $10,000 a month. I believe the one on Route 1 stayed up for about 3 months.
For 3 months, yeah.
The tornado one was up for, I think we kept it up for a month or 6 weeks. When that catastrophe happened, the mayor called and we got it up as soon as possible. But again, anything we do for the communities is totally free. I could double check that and try to get you a figure if you need.
Okay, yeah, and that'd be helpful. And I just want to remind my colleagues that keep in mind that there are other digital signs that are out there that are not being regulated by the city, and I think that we do need to address them and look at whether or not there is some revenue that can be taken in from them. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Rigo. Councilor Janino.
Thank you. I also wasn't going to speak on this tonight because it is going to committee, but just a couple quick points. The 4 that are being removed, I think, are the ugliest 4 in the city. As soon as you drive down Broadway, you look at the firehouse, which is a beautiful old building structurally, and some of the other points in the city, they really just look trashy. So having those removed, I think, is a plus. Outside of that, converting to digital, regardless of your opinion of that, it looks better because how many times do you drive by a billboard and see it peeling off or graffiti written on it or stuff on it, not just in Revere, but anywhere. So to have one that you can change, from a remote location to not put a worker in danger, I just think it's a smarter idea and I think it'll save money in the long run. And just look better. It looks cleaner. It looks classier. It looks richer for the city. So I think that we need a new facelift like that. So if we're going to continue to make our central business district look more appealing, I think this is a great way to start. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Janino. If the council will indulge me, I'll speak from the chair. I've been trying to get boards down for a long time in the city. Now, I was at the building committee meeting for the Hill School the other evening, and they were just completely ecstatic when I told them there's a possibility of that billboard at the fire station coming down because that's taken away from the beauty of the new school. That's going to open that whole area up. We're hopeful to get the ugly building that's owned by the T taken down and remove those two billboards. That's going to open up that beautiful new school to Broadway. Now, I love the beautification committee, and I love the work you do, and I appreciate all the effort you put in, Ron. But I'm going to fight tooth and nail to get this proposal through because it's that important to the city. It's that important to the revitalization of Broadway. It's that important to the beautification of that area and that beautiful new school that we're so lucky to have. So that's one point I want to make. One other point, I don't usually speak before the subcommittee meeting, but I think it's important tonight. We all know the owner of this property where the billboard is going, Mr. Marullo. And we know what he does for the beautification committee, and we know what he does for the city here. So those are a couple of points I want to make. As to the point my colleague from Ward 5 made about taking down the 5th sign, what we don't realize is that in order to take those 2 billboards down and not hurt the business owner, they have to continue to pay the rent on those 2 boards they're taking down. The only way they can support that is to leave the one on the roof. If we take that down, they can't support taking 2 boards down and still pay the guy rent. So there's a push and pull on everything we do up here, and I've spent a lot of time and effort in trying to do the right thing for the city. For 15 years, I've been trying to take these ugly boards down. I finally have an opportunity to do that, and I'm going to do everything I can to see that this proposal goes forward. So this is going to zoning. Thank you.
Calendar item number 5, report of the zoning subcommittee.
Mr. Chairman Reardon, I apologize. Let's take a brief recess. Okay, we'll bring this meeting of the Revere City Council back to order. Madam Clerk.
Calendar item number 5, report of the zoning subcommittee.
Chairman Reardon.
Thank you, Mr. President. Excuse me for being absent. 2 matters were before the zoning subcommittee this evening that met at 5:30 p.m. in the chamber. The first was an application entitled C-14-11 from New Singular Wireless PCS LLC by AT&T Mobility, seeking to modify an existing telecommunications facility by replacing 6 antennae existing to 9 and adding 3 new antenna for a total of 12 antennae associated with equipment at 134 Railroad Street in Revere. This matter was the subject of some discussion, as you're aware, Mr. President, and at the request of the Ward Councilor, Councilor Penta, we are awaiting a determination as to the structural soundness of the building at 134 Railroad Street, and we're going to hold this in committee until we do get that letter, and hopefully that will ease at least that portion of the concerns about the situation. And so that'll be held in committee. The second item was C-14-14, a petition from Edward Burke, trustee of the 22 to 2033 Rowan Road Realty Trust, 324 Quincy Street, Brockton, seeking permission from the Revere City Council to validate and legalize a non-conforming townhouse unit on lots 17 and 35-10A at 23 Rogan Street in Revere. This matter was reported out favorably with the added provisions of the site plan review. Very simple condition requiring the applicant to clearly stripe the parking spaces for the townhouse units. All parking spaces shall be 9 by 18, and all travel aisles shall be 22 feet. The plans must be approved by the fire department. So, with that, Mr. President, I would suggest that we put this to a vote this evening with the added conditions again from site plan review with any approval. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Madam Clerk.
Shall the City Council grant the relief requested for 23 Rogan Street on the application of Rogan Road Realty Trust, subject to the findings and conditions of site plan review? Councilor Rigo.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Janino.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Guanasso.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Hass.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Morabito. Yes. Councilor Novoselsky.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Patch.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Penta.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Powers.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Reardon.
Yes.
Yes. And Council President Zambudo.
Yes.
Yes. The special permit has been granted, subject to the findings and conditions of site plan review. Calendar item number 6, communication from the mayor relative to ETP funding requests in the amount of $199,676.96.
Councilor Rigo.
Thank you, Mr. President. Is this going to be going to committee, or are we planning to move this? Because I do have a couple of questions.
This will be going to Ways and Means.
Okay. Specifically, just to get them on the record right now, but it looked like there's a grant for $8,000 for 8 mobile devices, tablets, and I'm just wondering, $1,000 a piece on the tablets. I don't know if that is accurate. and then the $94,000 for computer technology. I just wanted to get I think we should try to get a better breakdown of what that is to make sure that it's not going to salaries or additional employees. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Rigo. Any other councilors? Ways and Means.
Calendar item number 7, communication from Kenneth and Eileen Parsons relative to a request to purchase city-owned land located on Howard Street.
Name and address for the record, please.
Thank you. My name is Kenneth Parsons. I live at 26 Butternut Road in Wakefield. I've owned the property in Howard Street. Been in the family since 1950. Back in 1957, the Commonwealth took by eminent domain 22 square feet off the back corner of the property, which reduced it down to less than the 4,000 square feet required. The city owns a piece of property next to it, which at one time, I think it was back in the 60s, that the city offered to sell, and it was owned by my father then, and he didn't do anything. So all I'm requesting is that I get the opportunity to buy the city land that's next door to it. It's do you have the map there? Do you have a copy of the map? It's the lot the city owns is 1,220 square feet. It's on the corner of McLeavey Street and Howard Street. It would be next, side by side, to my lot. And the benefit would be if a house were built there, it would bring residents closer to McLeavey Street, which is now known as a dumping station, where people dump sofas and TVs. And it would also make it so that if I put a home on there, it could be set a little bit farther away from the existing house on 64 Howard Street. I've been to the site plan review, and the site plan review is the one who recommended that I come to you to go through the process of purchasing it.
This is a land sale. It's going to probably go to committee.
Right.
Any councilors? Okay, this is going to, I don't think we have a land sales committee, do we? Okay, well.
Mr. President, I think it's part of the Economic Development Subcommittee, isn't it?
Okay, we'll give this to Economic Development and land, we'll call it Economic Development and Land Sales. How's that? Thank you very much.
Okay.
You'll be notified when they're going to have a hearing, and come up and make your pitch to them, and hopefully we can get this done for you.
Mr.
Thank
President,
you very much.
Okay.
Just a point of information. We have to
Council
survey.
Pento, state your point.
You're going to have to survey all the department heads and stuff like that before you can have a committee meeting. So you probably have the clerk send out something to each department head and at least get the ball rolling on it.
Well, it may not be done in this session. Is that what you're saying?
Probably not.
Yeah. It's probably going to be after the first of the year.
That's fine with me.
Okay.
Yeah. There's no big rush.
And that
I'll
may
go through
be,
the process.
That could be a different committee. We don't know what the next president will do. Okay, great. Thank you for your proposal.
Calendar item number 8, motion presented by Councilor Novoselsky that the mayor requests National Grid to install a new streetlight on pole number 2651 across from 75 Franklin Avenue.
Speaks for itself, Mr. President.
All in favor, all opposed? So voted.
There's a motion presented by Councilor Rigo that the mayor and the director of finance report to the city council on the impact of Governor Patrick's proposal to cut local aid.
Councilor Rigo.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I put this in when it seemed like it was, it may happen, but the governor-elect Baker and the House Speaker have both made it clear that local aid will not be touched under their watchful eyes. So I I don't know if we need to have this report, but it may be good to keep on people's minds just in case in the future for next fiscal year this may be an issue. Thank you.
On the motion, all in favor, all opposed, so voted.
It's a communication from the city clerk relative to disclosure forms for Sally Ann Vranos from the Recreation Department and Lorna Frangillo of the Public Library as required by Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 268A, Section 20B.
Well, this needs to be voted on. This requires a vote of the City Council. Madam Clerk.
Shall the City Council approve the disclosure forms for Sally Vranos of the Recreation Department and Ilona Frangillo of the Revere Public Library? Councilor Rigo.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Gino.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Guanasso.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Haas. Yes. Councilor Morabito.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Novoselsky. Yes. Councilor Patch.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Penta.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Powers.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Reardon.
Yes.
Yes. And Council President Zambudo.
Yes.
Yes. The disclosure forms have been approved.
No further business. This City Council will be adjourned till December 1st. And a happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there.